metal and horror with my friend Micheal Thomas. Micheal is a horror writer and musician. His new project, Salt Divination, features drumming from the great Ben Koller of Converge. Their debut EP is called The Boiled Sorceress, and it's really killer and makes for one great workout motivation soundtrack. Really dug this EP, and I can't wait to hear more. Micheal's a really talented person, and his writing's great, his music's great, and yeah, really awesome talk with him, and hope you enjoy this episode. After you're done with this episode, make sure you check out my fellow horsemen of the podcast apocalypse, Everything Went Black podcast, Into the Necrosphere, the Necromaniacs podcast, Spitball Media, Iblis Manifestations, and the Soul Knox podcast. Also, don't forget to rate this on whatever podcast service that you use and follow. That helps a bunch and is much appreciated. And once again, thank you so much for listening and enjoy this episode.
I'll go back to that part of the story. Last year I was trying to clean up all the stuff out of my closets, and just my wife and I just did this big purge in our house. And I seriously considered getting rid of my amps and guitars, and I haven't touched them in a decade. And I was doing some studio stuff in the house, trying to do this one-man black metal stuff on Bandcamp. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm done. I think I've been running a lot lately. I did a marathon this year, and I'm like, I want to focus on doing running, maybe do another book. And then Ben from Converge was on in the stories, was just drumming like a maniac, and he aims his stick at the camera and he says, "I will drum for you." And I knew when he did that, I knew that if I said yes to this, that it would change all of 2025 for me. And being 50 at the end of the year, I'm like, this is going to be a monumental thing. Either I finish novel 4, my 4th self-published novel, which would be ready for the horror convention in October, or I focus on doing this, whatever the metal project would be. And I obviously I knew I would never play it out, but I was like, the metal community is so cool with physical media, with Bandcamp, Spotify, Apple, this is the most amazing part. I didn't ask anybody to help me in any of this. These just started getting reviews popped up on Bandcamp and reshares on Instagram. It just shows how, as much as the metal community pretends to be, or has this image of being tough, aggressive, scary, and sometimes you look at metal dudes, you're like, wow, these guys would beat me up. I would never walk down an alleyway with, if I saw these guys. And it's the complete opposite. It's the sweetest, just intelligent, wonderful group of people. The reshares, the people sharing on their Spotify lists, and from just releasing the record, and I'm sure Ben's name being attached to it was a huge part of it. But I think the first month it had a Spotify circulation of 252 listeners, and I'm like, I didn't do anything. I just released the record, and it just went out there. And I could have released it, and it could have sounded awesome, and nobody could listen to it. But I caught a little, I guess the word would be algorithm, and that was fantastic. I was absolutely thrilled that I saw that feedback. And then I'm friends with Albert Mudream from Decibel Magazine. Him and I went to high school together, but Albert and I we're friends. I'd never want to ever ask him for anything because we're just friends. I don't say, hey, by the way, could you throw me a bone? That's not that's not my personality. But one night I texted him and I said, hey man, I got Ben from Converge to drum on this. He was a session drummer, and I was able to, pay for these songs. And I wrote these songs in my room. And he goes, you know what? Give me a blurb and I want to put it on the website on Monday. And it was that easy. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was more than he didn't have to do anything. And then I'm like, holy shit, there's Salt Divination EP, this image that I took from one of the Time magazines. I have this witch book from the 80s, and I took a photo. I gave no credit, of course. I just took the photo and then put the font on it. And there it is on the website. I'm like, geez, that's it went very fast. So I was thrilled how the whole project came together. But getting back to the earlier part, it's crazy how you have to become a sound engineer when you want to be the one-man metal person. If you're like, I'm going to make songs and record them in my house, have somebody drum, or some of the one-man black metal guys, they drum themselves. But And if you don't have somebody who's going to help you mix, you got to figure that out on your own. And that's I think it's more complicated to do that than just write the song. And I don't know. It was definitely an adventure last year. Where next time I do it, I think I want to hire somebody to mix stuff. I just want to send it out and be like, hey, can you make this sound awesome? Because I think I did okay. But
Yeah.
yeah, the mixing part's tough.
Well, I can say from my experience with working out the Salt Divination, I thought it sounded fucking awesome. It sounded really dirty and nasty, you know, stuff
Thank
I
you.
like because I'm not a big fan of like the super polished technical stuff that a lot of people listen to in the metal world. That's cool. That's not my thing. I like the real nasty, like dirty shit, and this had like a real evil grime to it. And yeah, I've listened to it a good many amount of times and stuff, lifting weights, and it's a hell of a motivator.
Right.
It's a great fucking EP.
Thank you. Yeah, the influence is definitely um, black metal vocals. Like I don't know how certain people's vocal range works when they put a microphone to their mouth, but I've always had like a pterodactyl kind of scream, or I don't know if that's the proper.
Sounds right. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm on the same boat with that too. That's pretty much sums up my vocals too.
It's funny. I love the mid to low end, like gravelly, like Sean from Coalesce, like the very like raw and but just when air escapes my mouth hole, you know when I'm doing a scream, it just comes out like a bird, you know. And so big influence for me is Dan away from Zayo. His vocals are just insane, and they've been around for a long time, and he's been always hitting that pitch. I don't know if it's because they take time off between tours. I know those guys get busy with their personal lives, and so they'll release a killer record tour, take time off, so maybe his throat heals. But that guy is just his pitch is just perfect for that style of music. And I love Brian. I think his name is Brian Funk from the band Thou, that New Orleans doom band.
Oh hell yeah, love thou, dude. Yes.
And so that's kind of the pitch I go for. So I paid attention to what they were doing. I was like, all right, they use compression, and I think they're using a handheld mic. So I tried that because at first they're using a really nice microphone, and I was like, I don't like the way this sounds. So it ended up the final process was handheld microphone 2 feet from my face in my wife's walk-in closet with headphones and a Macintosh. And one night she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go work out in the garage," and I was like, "Cool, I'm gonna do some high-pitched screaming vocals in here." And she's like, "Okay," you know, she's so cool about it. So there's me one day after work on a Tuesday, and I had my lyrics already memorized because I was trying different ways to get the best vocal process. And so I'm like, and like later I was like, all right, this will work. But I had also tried doing it in my car because because um because I'm very loud when I scream. So I was like, let me drive my car to the cul-de-sac, or then I end up going into a Lowe's parking lot. And same thing, handheld microphone, Macintosh headset, and I'm screaming in the Lowe's parking lot in the summer. And I remember getting a good take, which I never used, but I got a good take. And I look over and some guy had pulled up alongside me. And here's me just doing these black metal vocals, just screaming at the top of my lungs. I'm soaking wet. And this dude's looking over at me. And I'm like, I'm in the zone. I'm not looking over at him, but I'm like, this sounds good. And I'm just going to finish the song. And this guy in a truck looking at me. I'm like, all right, if I talk about this to anybody, this has to be in the story of what went into this process. Like I could say I layered my guitars this way, or I went direct bass and used this pedal. But screaming in a Lowe's parking lot was the highlight. Sadly, I never used that. I got a better take elsewhere, and I was like, "This is better." But yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That's cool. Bathrooms are always like really good for like a little bit of reverb and stuff. I noticed if you're doing like at home stuff. Like I remember some of the first vocals I ever did for when I was in Tripping the Mechanism. Like we recorded like a rough thing on cassette over there, like a demo, and it was like, yeah, we set up a little vocal booth in the bathroom.
That's a smart
pretty
idea.
good. Yeah.
I might try that because there is good reverb in a bathroom with all the tile. That's a good idea.
Yeah, and I also did some small guest work on some vocals not too long ago on a friend's band, and I recorded it on my iPhone in the bathroom, and it turned out pretty fucking nasty.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that I've met on Instagram that I'm like, I would love if that dude could do vocals, but that's encouraging to think that somebody could just use their iPhone, because I don't know if not everybody has the ability to grab a microphone, go into a studio, or has the knowledge of hooking a microphone up to their laptop. Like I did this today as a tester. I'm like, all right, if I could record a record, I should be able to hook my microphone properly up to do Brandon's podcast, and it worked because I
Yeah.
plugged it in. I'm like, I think this might work. Maybe Zoom will kind of figure it out, and Zoom did. It said, okay, your microphone's ready, and it gave me a tester. I'm like, fine, this is good.
Yeah, no, it sounds great. And yeah, like for like the black metally, like, nasty stuff, like I find that even like a rough recording, you can do a lot with it, like off the iPhone and stuff, like just send it over as like a voice memo and stuff,
Okay.
yeah, you can do, yeah, because like I said, when I do things, I'm not looking for like polished anything. I want rough, nasty, evil shit. So I'm not looking for,
Right,
that
right.
super like, that sound. But yeah, and
When
I've
you
also used I've used this mic, my podcast mic, to do some stuff with the Braxis horn, like some of my vocal parts. I don't know if that's optimal. It sounded pretty good, but I think I could probably get a better take out of my Shure mic than I have,
mm,
my actual stage mic. I haven't tried that yet, but
mm,
hooking that into my interface, I have a little Behringer interface that goes into my Mac and everything for recording.
okay.
So I hook my keyboard up in there and my guitars and stuff. But I think I'm gonna try to use my actual mic, stage mic, next time I do some vocal stuff.
When was the last time you recorded in a studio? Like you went into a studio
Oh
with somebody
man,
micing for you?
that has to be like probably going over like 10 years now. The last Trip in the Mechanism album is probably like 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been a
that's
long time since I've been in the studio.
it shows how technology has progressed like in a positive way where you can do it in your house now. Is there's enough information out there to be able to do those things. Obviously, unless we don't have big mixing boards, but a Macintosh and I have a Focusrite little red box
Hmm.
and I have some microphones and cords, but there's been a lot of nights where I would just despair and I just curse at chords and just get so angry and go for a walk and just clear my head and come back. I'm like, all right, I really want this. I got to get this to work. It's like having somebody who just have the knowledge of just, even if I paid somebody just
Yeah.
just to do that for me would have saved me so much time because the project when Ben from Converge had sent me the drums, and this is one part I wanted to mention. When you recorded in a studio, your drummer probably had maybe 5 mics or like maybe 7 mics. I've recorded in a B studio before, and I think we only have 5 microphones for the drums. It was like a kick, hi hat, tom, snare, and
Hmm.
overhead, or maybe 2 overheads.
Yeah, sounds about
Ben
right.
Ben's files were so massive, and it's obviously because of who he is as a drummer. But he's in LA, so when I realized he was in LA, I'm like, okay, this probably isn't going to be um, at God City Studios where the Converge plays the records and where Kurt Bailu does all the
Hmm.
recording, which I would have fainted. I'd be too intimidated by that because
Right.
Ben Enough alone, being my favorite drummer, my favorite band, drumming for my guitar parts was
That's still
enough.
awesome. That's so yeah, it's still so fucking awesome, man.
But so when he sent me the files, he had a recording engineer with him, whose name is Gabe, and Gabe says, "Okay, man, here you go." And I get these 12 massive files for one song, and it was 3 kick, 2 snare, overhead, hi hat. I think there was a couple overheads, a room mic, and I was like, my Mac is small,
Hmm.
so 3 songs with 12 wave files each. They're not compressed. Almost shut my computer down. I had to move everything over to an external hard drive just
Oh
to
wow.
keep them on my computer.
Hmm.
And they sounded great already. Like I could have just done feedback and screamed in a handheld, and people be like, "Oh wow, this is like full of hell. This is great." But I had an immediate panic attack when I heard how good the drums were. I'm thinking, I mean, fucking Converge might hear this, or Kurt Bailu might actually hear this shit I'm writing in my room. So
Hmm.
I'm like, and so I rewrote everything. Everything I had sent Ben were just all basically scratch tracks just to get a rhythm. And he's so damn good. He's just like, okay, cool, blast, 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 doo doo da da doo doo da da doo doo da. I'm like, all right, that's better than what I expected of like 10 times. So I'm just going to rewrite all my riffs. And I just sat in a room for months and just rewrote. And then I got my tone down. And finally, I was like at a point where I was like, this is good for me. And then when I put everything together, it kind of took care of itself with the vocal. I think the vocals added a lot to it because at first I'm like, I'm an okay guitar player. Ben is a more than comparable drummer, legendary status. But I do sound like a pterodactyl very well. So like if I'm thinking like and I'm going to do that, um, it should tie it together. It should be the icing on top of the cake. And when I heard it, the personality of the band kind of took its place. I'm like, all right, that blackened style, whether it's blackened grindcore, hardcore, that melded together. And I think if I did like a shouty voice or like a turmoil or every time I die, it would have had a way different personality than the blackened style. And the interesting thing about his drumming is he didn't use a lot of double bass on that. So when you have like a doot dat doot dat doot dat doot dat, you have that. It's almost when the snare hits and how hard he hits. It's like it's almost commanding a riff to go to a next part. Like you have the and it has that. He's an old punk hardcore drummer, so that always ties into Jane Doe, where it goes blast into grind into dancey D beat. And so me writing that, where black metal is completely different. Black metal is just like, it's just almost fluid jazz, like 220, 240 beats a minute, where it's like just, what do they use? Gravity blasts, where they're like, bat, 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 bat. And that works, but it's all a lot of tremolo picking, a lot of just like sweeps. And so I'm more organic. So I'm more like, let me just hammer on this riff, hammer on that riff. So I guess the happy medium would be like a blackened hardcore, because I'm both worlds. I love the vocal style of the high bird vocals with the high gain on it, and then the dancey riffs, because breakdowns do show up in there. And I know there's certain black metal dudes that don't like breakdowns, and there's certain hardcore kids that don't like, too much abrasive vocals where it goes into the black metal world. So it's a good hybrid medium of, I think, both genres.
I agree with that. What tuning were you using for this, and how were you using any digital amps, or using real amps for your guitar?
I have an orange amp, which is in my opinion the best, but I could not get a good tone live in my room. I had it so loud, and I had tried multiple ways of getting. This is why I wish I had a sound engineer. The orange amp, it sounds fucking awesome when I'm writing riffs. And it's very warm. All the chugs sound very heavy. All the notes come through. They break through, like all the noodly parts and the warm octave chords that I play, like come through great. Somehow, I just don't have the mental capacity or the knowledge to just get that into my computer to sound good. It sounded okay. So I found an orange amp simulator that I downloaded, and that's where I got the guitar tone. And I had used I had done 3 tracks of that. I panned them both to each side. So they were so it was basically 6 tracks guitars. And then I used, I guess you could select a different cabinet just to get a different sound. So I used like a 210 cabinet and a 412 cabinet, and that's got that very like wide, thick sound to it. So I went direct for the guitar, which I didn't want to do, but it sounded better than what I was able to get. And I went direct for the bass. The tuning was, I think it was CGC FAD. Or one of the strings was tuned a little bit different, so you get like that discordant octave in there somewhere. I think one of the string, the lower or the higher strings was tuned different, but basically it was drop C. And yeah, that was it. That's one of my favorite tunings. A lot of the early O's, like grind and metalcore that came out, the Converge, Botch, the early Dillinger. There was some of those records that came around that time. I was obsessed with them back in maybe from 97 to 2005. That's like my favorite era of Shai Hulud and Every Time I Die. Some of those records that came out, I'm like, gosh, man, it was riffs on top of riffs, where the death metal world is fantastic and I love it. But I was never the guy to come home and just plug in my guitar and play for 10 hours. I know there's guys like that, like a band like Tomb Mold. Those guys just come home and they sit and they just write riffs over and over and over again, because you listen to one of those songs, I'm like, one Tomb Mold song could be a whole whole record for somebody else, And there's other bands I listen to where I'm like, well, this is just a lot of chugging, but it's good though. It's really good chugging. So and I like both. I like the chugging hardcore, where it's dancey, and then I love the overcomplicated death metal too, like a band like Ulcerate from.
I love Ulcerate.
Yeah, they're so good,
awesome.
But they're like, Ulcerate to me is kind of like when I showed up at the marathon last month to run, and here's me 50 years old, and I hope I beat 4.5 hours, and some guy shows up shirtless and he does it in 2.5. Like, that's what Ulcerate is. Like, Ulcerate shows up, you're like, that guy's gonna win, and he'll be in his car driving home by the time I get to the finish line, and like, The Ulcerator's so good, and they came to Orlando and did not get a chance to see them, and they're so damn good.
Oh man! Also, dude, I just want to say, your posts with your running and stuff is very motivational. I'm not a runner, but I do,
Mm.
I lift weights a lot and stuff, and
Mm.
still, it's a motivator. Seeing the stuff you're doing and everything. Like, yeah, that takes a
Uh,
lot for doing marathons.
yeah, thanks. It's really tough, and it's tough to make the time because to say I'm going to come home from work and run 6 to 7 miles, that's which is what it
Yeah.
takes. And there's days where in the colder times in Florida where it's dark out and I need my headlamp on. And there's nights where I'd run and it started raining or my headlamp would go out. And I'm like, I hope I don't die. Like I'm like out here, 45 minutes from my house down some long road. I'm like, I think I'll be fine. And the stuff that goes through your head, I'm like, is that a wolf? Is that a man? Is that an ICE agent? Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going.
Yeah.
So, and my wife's so supportive. It'll be 7:30, 8 o'clock, and she's just dinner's on the stove with a dish waiting for me. And she's just so cool about it. And then when I did the marathon, um, I gassed out at like the 18th or 19th mile and I just shut down. And I did this technique called walk run where I was just like, all right, I guess I'm shuffling. I'm just shuffling now. And I was out there for about 3.5 hours and I was approaching the 20th mile and I run for a little bit and then I walk for a little bit. And eventually by the very, very end, I just got angry with myself and I pushed the last 3 miles as hard as possible. And I was fine, for what I had done. But I
Hmm.
had a whole other number in my head and of where I wanted to be at. And there's my wife at the finish line, and she has Gatorade and bananas. And I couldn't even talk; I was just done. And she was so cool. And she was like, "I got you Gatorade, I got you bananas." And she's like, "But I hate to tell you this, but we have exactly a half hour to get back to the hotel and check out before they charge us for another day." And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." And I think I crawled to the hotel. We didn't have our car with us, and
Hmm.
I don't really remember that moment. And then I came back here to Sarasota, and I just wanted this big stack of waffles, but the grossest, gooeyest thing I could eat, just to as a reward. But
Yeah.
so thank you for saying that because the running is tough, and I do that more than anything, and I don't think I'm that good at it. It's just being stubborn is probably the key because I'm not fast. I'm very old and I'm short, so I have all those things working against me. And I'm like, but I listen to good music and that keeps me occupied when I'm on the road, or, running with my headset. I'm like, well, I'll listen to these 6 records and that should get me home and but in a
Hmm.
good mental state.
Yeah, I used to run a lot when I was in my 20s. I ran a good bit, but the most like distance wise I would go maybe like 5 miles. We'd run like train tracks and stuff. And
Mm,
I never liked running, man. But whenever you get that runner's high, which
yeah.
is nuts, like there was one night we're out there running, the moon's up and stuff. It's dark. We got like another guy running with us, and he's supposedly like a good runner, and I'm out there like I'm just Mr. Nobody, and you get that runner's high. I dogged everybody. Like I couldn't stop. Like I didn't feel tired. I'm like, now that's worth all these miles of running and stuff to get that runner's high feeling where
Oh yeah.
you feel
And
invincible.
and how tall are you? You're what, like 6'1", 6'2"?
Yeah, about 6'1", 6'2". Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think because I have high hair, I might be 5'7". Like I don't really know. I don't know. My wife says she's 5'9", and but she's definitely taller than me. And she runs too. She ran the 5K the day of the marathon. And
Mhm.
which is so the poor girl gets up, walks with me down to the starting line and waits an hour and a half after I leave to do the 5K. And then when she's done with the 5K, she waits an hour and a half for me to come through the finish line. That's brutal alone because it was colder that morning. And I know we're in Florida. Some people are kind of like, well, you're in Florida, so it's not as cold as the rest of the country, but it was 50 out. And to be
Mhm.
waiting around for 2 hours before a race and after your race, for me to come through. And I mean, the weather was great to run in, but yeah, races do a lot mentally, and I think I would not be as I don't want to say use the word comfortable. I don't think it'd be as fun to do if I didn't have the music I listen to. Like metal music definitely makes all of it worth it because I could make playlists. I'm like, I'm just gonna, and I still buy records off of Bandcamp. I'm not a Spotify person. I don't have a Spotify account. I do for the band, like for Salt Divination to get listened to, but I don't have a paid subscription. So I
Right.
still download all my stuff off of Bandcamp, and I love it. I'll just be like, today is European metal. Today is going to be early O's metalcore. Today is going to be just doom like Primitive Man or
Oh yeah,
something
dude.
fun. Primitive Van is a fun band to run
That's
to
what.
because
Oh, you're one of my favorite bands. And
so
speaking of,
good.
yeah, I'm not. It's just scheduled and everything, but hopefully it doesn't jinx anything. But I'll be talking with Ethan this in March sometime. I think March or April. I got a interview with Ethan, so I can't wait to talk hard
That
with
is
him. But
amazing.
yeah, yeah,
And he did and people forget this, I think, unless they're our age, but he did Clinging to the Trees of a Forest Fire. And
yeah.
that is such a fucking insane grind record. That is such a, that's a legendary record. When I hear people talk about that, I freak out because it's almost forgotten that exists. And I love Vermin Womb, his other grind band. I don't know if they tour, which it might be just Primitive Man just doing grind. It might maybe switches out a member.
I
But
think I think they do. I think it's just I think it's the same band for Primitive Man that does Vermin Moon. I'm not 100% sure on that, but
but
yeah,
but he has no misses. Like
no,
there's nothing that guy does where you're kind of like, oh, this is okay. I mean, he's in like top tier level 10. Just Primitive Man is the best of it. Vermin Womb is like a perfect grind band. They're so good.
yeah. I listen to them a lot working out, man. I get a lot of good PRs. Primitive Man's a very good workout band. Also, my friends in the band Werewolves out of Australia. Have you heard of them?
No, no.
Oh, dude, Werewolves are fucking nasty, man.
I'm gonna
Like,
I'm gonna look them up right now. Do they have a band camp?
oh yeah, they got a band camp and stuff,
Amazing.
and they put out an album every year, and they've been around for 6 or 7 years now, I think. And every year to have an album, and
Wow.
every time they throw an album out, it's fucking awesome. Yeah, yeah, they are great, dude. And you will set some PRs with listening to Werewolves. Like, there's no way you can't. I love that band. That's what like one of my number one workout
Just
um
found them. Following them
soundtracks.
now. Oh, they
Yeah,
have sick artwork. This is really cool artwork for the records.
yeah, I think you really dig them. They're just fucking nasty.
There's a band, they're pretty unknown, but I found them. I think it was the Sludge Lord blog spot would always be posting about smaller like sludgy bands. They're from England called Opium Lord.
Oh
If you've
yeah,
ever
they're
heard of
good.
them,
Yeah.
their vocals, same kind of thing, the black metal style vocals with just sludge, kind of like an Iron Monkey, like the old Iron Monkey records, where those first two were really sick. The other two records Iron Monkey had done are good, but those first two were just
Oh yeah, nasty.
insane.
Speaking of Sludge Lord, yeah, we got when I was doing Tripping the Mechanism stuff, we got premiered on there. I don't know which album it was, but I thought that was cool as shit because I followed Sludge Lord forever. You know, I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh fuck yeah, and we were on there. And
that's
also,
awesome.
Sludge Lord recommended a band years ago. They're called Mastiff. I think they're out of England. Have you heard of them before?
No, no.
Dude, check out Mastiff. Yeah, I think it's like it's spelled like Mastiff, but like the last T or something in there, or F has like a upside down cross on it and stuff. Dude,
I found him. I found him now. I'm following
fucking
him.
heavy as shit, especially their new album. I think that came out last year. I can't remember the name of it, but dude, yeah, you want some more workout motivation? That stuff there is just that
That
straight balls to the wall, heavy, sludgy. A little bit like there's some hardcore elements in there, real
okay.
sludgy. There's black metal elements there, like good shit.
I love that we're on a podcast talking about bands that we look up to and sharing them, like you and I are hanging out at like a coffee shop.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
but these bands might hear this and they'll be like, oh, this is sweet. They're name dropping our band. That's really cool. That is awesome.
Yeah, and it's cool too. Like, we're both metal in the horror community, so we,
Yeah.
combining those worlds is always good.
I wanted to ask you, I know you're friends with I think his name is Philip from Kylesa.
Yeah,
I
Philip Cope.
saw they are playing a decibel show, like out of nowhere. They just are they back together or is that just for the show?
No, they're back together from what I know. They got back together. Was it maybe last year? I think it
No
was,
way.
or the year before last. Yeah, they got at. They were going to do a few shows, and then they did like this giant European tour, and they got another tour booked for Europe this year. Like
That is
so,
awesome.
they're back together. It's yeah. So
Good because they have such a great catalog and they've never left my rotation and but I'm not really in the loop. Like I just assumed they broke up or just went on permanent hiatus. And so that's fantastic. I saw them on playing a decibel show and I'm like, I mean, that's fly in worthy, like
oh
to
yeah.
see that. I saw them once, oh my gosh, probably back in 2010.
Mhm.
And it was mind blowing because it was a small club, of course, but two drummers in just in a small club like that was just insane. And yeah, I would love to see them. So it's great they're back together.
Yeah, I remember the whole two drummer thing too. We saw them with two drummers at the Scion Music Festival that was in Atlanta many,
Okay.
many, many years ago. It was like them. It was Kylesa, Neurosis, High on Fire,
Oh my God.
Boris, Pig Destroyer. I mean,
Wow.
it was a hell of a festival. Yeah, it was
Man,
really awesome, and they had the two drum things going on there. It was just so fucking loud and just nasty.
that's amazing. Yeah, I've never seen Neurosis. Still a band that has another band never left my rotation. Through Silver and Blood, like just flattened me when I was younger. And Times of Grace, again, another record just knocked me out. And I've always missed them. And it's weird that I've seen like, Napalm Death and Converge 7 times each, or Pig Destroyer. I've just constantly see them, and I'm near Tampa, so I get to see like Cattle Decapitation is just a constant thing. But a monumental, huge sludge band like Neurosis, just always miss them. It's sad. And well, I don't know what the future brings for the band if they would tour without Scott or
Yeah, I
wait, you
don't.
actually had Steve recently, didn't you? On
Yes,
the
yeah. Von Till was on my show recently. We didn't really talk anything neurosisy like that. I didn't want to bring
Okay,
up too much with that. We did go over some of the artwork for can't remember which album, but it was the album where they used the it was like the Burning Man because we're talking about Wicker Man. So they made their own
yeah,
Wicker Man for it and stuff. But
okay,
yeah, I don't see Neurosis ever, going again without
right.
him. So I just, yeah, because he does
There,
Harvest Men on his own. Von Till
right.
does, and he has, some other things that he does. But
There was this moment on Reddit, and it was such a weird moment. And you know all the members of this or all the pieces in this discussion, but when Brent, God rest his soul, when he was still alive, left Mastodon, people had said on Reddit, they were like, wouldn't it be crazy because Scott had sang on Mastodon Records if Brent went and covered for the Scott parts in Neurosis, and it would be like Neurosis with Brent Hines, playing. And it was just a thread, and people were talking about it. But it made me think. I'm like, and they're friends. I mean, what if Brent was like, I'll just do a couple of shows, and it's just fans being fans on Reddit.
right,
And then, and God rest his soul, Brent passed away last year. It was very, very, very sad. Still not over that.
yeah,
And in fact, it was weird because I go in kicks. Like the first 4 Mastodon records are just, to me, they're monstrous records. The Hunter on are, they're fine. Like, but I don't listen to them a lot. Like I think they change a lot from like the Hunter and Once From
hmm
Around the Sun. But the first 4 are just, to me, just, I don't. It's like the first 4 Metallica records. They're it's just important. How they all connect, and I love the themes of them, the artwork. And I was in a first 4 Mastodon records kick early last year, and I just totally get knocked out by the riffs are just endless with those records. And then Brent left. Then he wears a shirt that says Mastodon, and there's this playful contention like online. You're seeing it happen, and then he's gone. And I'm like, fuck, man, that's just like it's like a friend that I talked to on the phone that's gone. It's like I go to listen to it and I hear his voice, and I'm like, that's it, he's gone, man. And I'm still not over. It's really weird. I mean, I never met the guy. I've seen Mastodon play before, but I can't imagine being the band going through, you know, Brent saying things and the band not being together, and he goes to do his own thing and they replace him. And then again, the fans were like, well, he'll come around again. They'll meet again someday when they could come to terms. And that's it.
yeah,
Death just swooped in and took him, or maybe he was just a star that burned so bright that was it. That's all we got of his magic.
yeah, dude, that was nuts. And also, one that hit me really hard was when David Lynch passed. I was
Oh my
like, that
God.
was out
Yeah.
of nowhere. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man! Like, I fucking, Twin Peaks and Lost Highways, one of my favorite movies of all
Yeah.
time. And yeah, I was like, fuck, like,
That is heavy.
yeah, it still hasn't really sunk in that he's gone, and we're not getting anything else from him. It's
You probably know this, that I put him on the sample of the third song on the record
I
with
did
him
catch
and
that.
and it's funny because my friend Tristan, he's a also does black metal. He he knew the quote, and he goes, I love how you put it in the beginning, and then at the end it's the answer with Harry Dean Stanton. He's like, he goes, nothing, there's nothing. And I just kind of, I put it on a repeat loop, and I'm like, this is beautiful. I try to be, I think I'm an overly positive person. I just have a different outlook on life. I'm just grateful to be alive every day, and, grateful for what we have. Yes, you can complain. I think there is a malaise in society, and the government sucks, but, I want to be the best person possible. But when you get into like some like hopeless quotes like Harry Dean Stanton laughing with David Lynch just talking about, the void. And I'm like, geez, man, I said, this is going to be a sample. I don't want to use like a Richard Simmons quote to be overly positive. So, so I was like, Lynch fans will know Lynch, and they'll get that unique, nasally, beautiful voice just cutting through the feedback. They'll be like, either that's the singer if they don't know who Lynch is and that then he has a cool voice, or it's some director I need to find out about or some cool person. So David got, especially being last year, I was like, he's gonna get some extra attention here.
That's really awesome. With the new Abraxas Horn album that we're working on right now, there's going to be a thing from Bob from Twin Peaks. I have this whole quote or whatever that I recorded that he did, and it's going to be like an opening to one of the songs on there. And I was like, perfect, because I mean, Dave Lynch inspired a lot of what I do with the Abraxas Horn, just
Okay.
his whole universe, and that dreamlike nightmare world that he creates. It's definitely a big inspiration for me. So I was like,
Yeah. And
yeah.
he wields it so well. I watched Fire Walk with Me last year, and that movie, it seems like it's just a bizarre crime drama, and then it just goes batshit. And
Hmm.
then you're trying to absorb the batshit. And if you know the show and if you know his universe enough, you're like, okay, I'm still on board. And then it goes another level of batshit. And I'm kind of like, I'm scared. It just happens. You're like, I'm just scared and unsettled right now. And I'm watching it at midnight on a work night. And I'm sitting here I'm like, I'm kind of freaked out. I might need a pause,
That's the
but
perfect time
it's
to watch it
beautiful.
too,
It's
at
beautiful.
midnight. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It really is. And like I said, there's so many layers to it. Like on the outside of Twin Peaks, it's like a soap opera, like, oh, this is like a bright poppy soap opera, but there's so much darkness and, below all that. That's just like they're kind of he's throwing you off a bit with the whole, making fun of the whole soap opera type shit,
Yeah.
like there's so much darkness and evil that's below.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And him playing the FBI agent that's hard of hearing
Mhm.
is pure comedy. Like you could laugh really hard in the same movie that you're scared shitless. Like it's
Yeah.
it's it's a great movie. It's great.
Me and Micheal are doing our sub series on that called the Black Lodge. I don't know if you listened to any of those episodes yet.
No, I will though because I like Mike Hill and I know you guys work together. That's great.
Yeah, we'll do like an episode on Everything Went Black, and then I'll do an episode on the Horror Wolf podcast, and we just kind of go back and forth, and we're going to go through all the different seasons of Twin Peaks. We're also going to do Fire Walk with Me after,
That's great.
and then I think we're going to go into the books too. There's some really awesome books about Twin Peaks that are out there that really go over the backstory and like some of the secrets that you don't know about Twin Peaks if you only see the show.
Yeah, and I watched the show when it was live, like when I was a kid, and I didn't know what it was. I just didn't. I just liked the imagery and the nightmare scenario, and it just freaked me out. I think if it came out in '90,
I
I was
believe
15 at the
so.
time,
Yeah.
and I remember I got it. This sounds silly, but I was young, and it was 1990. I was a dumb religious poor kid growing up. So me having a TV in my room, being able to watch that, and around the same year, I think 1990, Stephen King's It, the TV show, or not the TV show, the TV movie came out,
Yeah.
and I was just obsessed with just like dream within dream stuff, just nightmare scenarios. Just that changed me a lot as a young person because like right around that era is where I started getting from thrash metal into death metal. There were like different transitions happening in my life, and I remember vividly being like with my mullet and my black jean jacket, listening to my over the ear headphones, just being into that stuff. So when I think of Twin Peaks, it just brings me to that. I don't want to call it a warm nostalgic moment, but it's definitely a nostalgic moment where I started to wake up. And I remember in that same time period, a friend of mine was obsessed with just bizarre movies, and he gave me this VHS which had three movies on it. It was Taxi Driver, Clockwork Orange, and I think it was if it wasn't a Lynch film, it was something as bizarre or not as bizarre, but like another bizarre film. And the
Hmm.
world became bleak. I'm like, I knew like Full Metal Jacket and like Predator, Aliens, Running Man. Like that's what I knew as growing up, like 13, 14. But when I was 15 years old in 1990 and Twin Peaks came out and having Taxi Driver already having seen that, it messed me up. I didn't think the world could be so dark for just a kid living in like, the country. And my mom would just, she's a big church person, and I'd
Hmm.
go to church as a kid and I have my secret cassettes I wasn't supposed to be listening to in my inside jean jacket pocket. Like that's it's amazing how the metal community still connects to all those things with Lynch and with horror and metal music. And yet even saying all that, I still think the metal community is very warm and intelligent and kind and supportive of each other, even though we grab onto those things. I don't know if it's like all those elements together just show us that the world is dark, but let's come together as a community, or all those elements show us that, we're all we have when we go to a show. Like all those metal dudes and all the women who come to the shows are just it's a one big family, and
Hmm.
I think, and my wife even brought this up. She goes, when I put the Salt Divination record out, she goes, you got so much support from just random people, reshares, this podcast. My friends had me in a podcast recently, like all these elements together. She's like, you got a lot of support. She goes, it's kind of more than what you got in the writing community. And it's nothing against the writing community. The writing community is amazing, but it's huge.
Hmm.
And I think metal people, maybe they're just tighter. They reshare more. I don't tour, obviously. So any sort of social media push is great. But there's just days I'll wake up and it's like reshares and links. I'm like, man, metal people are just freaking great. It is one big family. And so it's actually pushed me to want to do another record, where last year I wanted to sell my guitar and amps. And this year I'm like, all right, I'm going to get the sound engineer. And if I can't, if I know Ben's busy because Converge just dropped a new record. He drums for High on Fire. And
Hmm.
I'm like, if I find another drummer that's available, or if Ben is available, I want to do another record. Where I had thought in my mind I was done doing music. And I'd have to say, because of the support and all the positive things that have been said in the past, 6 weeks, 8 weeks since the record's been out, I definitely want to stick around still doing music, because man, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling when somebody's like, I like this part of your song right here. You're like, I lift weights to it, or my friends are like, this is really sick. This breakdown's awesome. I'm like, geez, I actually spent time writing these, and this is the kind of the feedback I wanted. Or when I write books, I don't know how people react to it. Somebody's like, I liked it. I'm like, cool. I'm like, well, what did you like about it? I'm like, oh no, it was good. And
Hmm.
but I think maybe, or metal people are so articulate. They're kind of like, what's the tuning? Or that's really sick. Or I love how you have your feedback lead into that riff and then the grind part hits. I'm like, man, that's actually exactly what I was doing. And you're commenting. So, like people really dissect it well.
Hmm.
And, but, but yeah, it's been fun being back into it, because the last time I think I played a show was 2013.
Hmm.
So, not even imagining myself ever on stage again. It's just cool to, see that support. Which the funny thing is, the next step I want to do is I want to do a video for one of the songs, and I have way too many tarot cards, Ouija boards, occult stuff, candelabras, stuff in my room. I'm gonna put them all in the garage and just do the veil over the face with the black jean jacket and play the riffs, and maybe just take like black and white movies and snip them together, because it would just be me. Like there's
Hmm.
only so much you could watch one person play guitar, but maybe take like stuff like from Carnival of Souls, or one of those older what do they call them, public domain movies, and just have
Hmm.
them snip over it and just have grindy blasty parts.
Dude, that's a great idea, man. I could totally see that. That's yeah, very good idea. It's kind of inspiring for myself because I also want to eventually do a video, like something weird and abstract, not like a regular band video.
Yeah,
But I do have some filmmaker friends and stuff who, there could be some things in the future, hopefully, and but if not, doing something here at the house, I have a lot of weird shit I could use. Just, doing it is a whole thing. But
yeah, and it's amazing that you can do it from your house. Like you don't need a crew. I mean, obviously it'd be harder, but it's cool that you're like, oh, I shot this on my Android in my garage with just candlelight at midnight on a Friday, and my wife was holding the was holding the phone, and I'm screaming to nothing, but I throw the music in, and it works.
yeah, I remember when we did a video for one of our videos for Tripping the Mechanism. We did it was for 12 Labors of Hercules. So I think it was our first album, but I remember we did a whole thing up in North Carolina somewhere. Like it was a whole set and all that stuff. We paid a lot of money for this. Like it was like super pro. Like it was pretty much a mini movie. Like had
That's
all the big
awesome.
cameras and all there. But I'm like, man, I could do all that now and look probably close to what, that look with the technology we have just at our hands, just at the house, like our fucking
Yeah,
phone and a few things, So it's like, yeah, things have changed technology wise.
yeah. The phones are incredible now, because I years and years ago, when Danny Boyle did 28 Days Later, he'd used the Canon XL1S DV tape camera, and that was like the dream of all indie people back then. And when I had heard that, I was like, I want to get a Canon XL1 1S camera. So I bought one for maybe like $1,200 on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
I shot a couple short movies with that, and I was so ballsy back then. I was like, I'm going to submit this to this festival. And one movie I had done, it was a short. I submitted to the Cannes Film Festival, and I was like, I'm like, this is good enough to go there. I'm going to submit this. And they never even, I don't think they even looked at it. I just got a rejection letter from Cannes, which was great to have a
Mm.
rejection letter from the Cannes Film
Oh yeah,
Festival.
no shit.
But my friend told me like shortly after that, he's like, hey, he's like, Canon's making stuff which is going like digital to not the tape anymore. He goes, it's looking so good in the low light camera work. He goes, you need to sell your camera. He goes, it's going to be obsolete. And he showed me this video online that somebody had shot with, which I mean, this is commonplace now, but I think it was the Canon EOS, or maybe it's the Mark V or something like that. And I was like, wait a minute, there's no tape in this. He's like, no, this is all digital. It's just all being stored on a little drive. I'm like, this is sick. Like, there's no more. The big cameras were gone, and now you could shoot on your phone. And so much stuff has changed in the past 15 years where I think movies have been shot on phones, like big productions. Like I think Steven Soderbergh did one, and I think there was another director who did Tangerine. I think that was shot on the phone. And these movies get awards, and like there's somebody like I can't imagine having a big production which the cameraman just being holding a phone in his hand. That almost looks like a joke, but that's the standard. It works now. The cameras are so good where somebody's going to see something on YouTube
Mhm.
of a black metal guy wearing a veil over his face that he got at the Goodwill with skulls and animal bones behind him. Be like, oh, this is awesome. What'd you do? I'm like, oh, I just did it in my garage. Last week, my wife did all the footage, and I snipped it together in my Mac.
And that's so awesome. And I like those type of videos myself. I'm not a fan of seeing like the whole band like just standing there. If I want to see
Right,
that, I go to a live show. I want to see something weird and
right.
kind of dark. So yeah, that's cool. And also, 28 years later, I think they used iPhones for that movie.
Do they
If I'm not
really?
mistaken, yeah, a bunch of iPhones. I saw a few like behind the scenes things or whatever had like
Wow,
fucking 100 iPhones like on this like rig they made up and stuff, and they're shooting it off of that.
that's
I don't think
incredible.
the Bone Temple was done that way, but I know the
Okay,
one right before that, it came out last year. They did it that
yeah.
way. Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I have not seen the Bone Temple. I've seen 28 years later, and that was
Okay,
awesome. That made my top six of last year.
okay, yeah. Bone Temples. I don't know if you just heard about the Iron Maiden scene. I don't want to ruin anything for you, but
No, I
it's
haven't heard about that.
it's wonderful. It's just I don't want to ruin anything at all, but it's just to see Ralph Fiennes just throw down to Iron Maiden is it's just cinema. Like to know his catalog of what he's done for movies and how vast his from being from Schindler's List to just go into this really just articulate zombie film or infected person film. It's amazing and it's definitely worth seeing. I liked this one even more than 28 years, the first 28 years that came
Hmm.
out was last year, the year before.
Last year.
But yeah, it's great. It's great. And I think there's going to be another one in addition to this. If I might be wrong on that. I don't know
Oh,
if they're
that's
going to do it
cool.
like a 28 years later part three. It's set up as where it can be. I think it's possible, but I'm kind of out of the loop with the newest horror. I'm kind of if like sometimes I see your posts, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That's something I didn't know about, which happens a lot.
Hmm.
I'm friends with these guys. They're called Chuddle the Pod. They do a lot of horror movie stuff, and they do newer stuff. And I always think I know until I see really really cool stuff that other people have talked about for a while, and I'm like, how am I been out of the loop? I guess I just got old. Even though I'm in social media, like to some degree, I feel like I'm always out of the loop with newer horror. Like I'm so bad where I still watch Tubi
Oh,
and
me
I
too.
go
I love Tubi.
and I go to the Italian horror movie section and I'm like, you know what? I didn't know these existed. I think I've heard of them or know at least the director who did them, but I didn't know some of these films were ever around. I'm like, I'm gonna watch these. So I'm watching like the soap opera style, overly colorful, convoluted title of an Italian horror, on a Friday night. And I'm like, all right, this will work. And but yeah, I'm not I wish I knew more about what was going on now. And I don't want to be the old man that yells at clouds, but I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, it's a new movie, whatever. If it's really good, I'm sure it'll fall on my radar again. But the indie circuit seems to be putting out some really, really solid horror films lately. So I feel bad that I'm out of the loop with certain things.
Yeah, usually indie stuff is always really good. Last year, it was a slow year last year for horror, but then like it turned out to be a pretty decent year towards the end. Like
Mhm.
I'm not sure what did you catch anything like newer last year, indie or mainstream that you really
Um,
dug or
I would have to go on my letterboxd to look because I did go. I got something called the Regal Movie Pass, which has the which you have the ability to go if once you pay for it for 3 months, you get to go to the movies for like 54 cents. So
mm-hmm.
if like
It's
I
a good
if
deal.
you yeah like I saw Bone Temple, obviously I saw Iron Lung, that really indie movie where the guy's like in the submarine.
You haven't seen
Um,
that one. Is that any
um,
good or
I got claustrophobic because it's one setting and it's 2 hours. So I'm
oh
kind of like, and for one setting for 2 hours, like I want 12 Angry Men or like Dawn of the Dead. Like that's what I'm expecting. If I'm going to be sitting in one setting, like I want like a lot of moving parts. I started to get claustrophobic where I was like, I don't want to say I was looking at my watch, but I was like, man, I hope this ends soon. Like I love to want to support independent horror, but um, 2 hours in one setting, I'm like,
it's crazy.
I
Yeah.
don't know. That's kind of like remember Open Water like years ago where
Yeah.
the two people. I'm like, I can't do that again. Like,
Yeah. I gotta have some. I'm gonna get bored as shit. Like I'm
right,
gonna lose
right.
my attention's going.
Let me see here. I'm looking at my. I saw Send Help, the new Sam Raimi film. That was entertaining. There's Raimi parts to it that I liked, but um, it did feel very produced. I mean, he did. I mean, he is still he's the Evil Dead guy to me, but he really is the Spider-Man guy. You know, I mean, he went
Yeah.
big production, but I did like it. And I saw not horror, but I saw Dead Man's Wire
Evidence
by
Wire.
Gus Van Sant directed it,
Okay,
and
I haven't heard of
it's
that one.
really good. It's about Skarsgård, the kid who played it, that
Hmm.
guy. It's a true story about a guy who made a dead man's wire by attaching a wire to a trigger to his finger to a shotgun. So if anybody would like struggle, they would get shot in the head. And he goes and gets this uh like real estate guy who screwed him on a deal and just kidnapped him by gunpoint and took him out and brought him to his house. And he's like, I demand all these things, or this guy's going to get his head blown off. And Gus Van Sant directing it was perfect for it because Gus Van Sant's a great director.
Yeah.
But I got felt claustrophobic in that too because the wire around the throat, and it ended up being in an apartment for like most of the movie. But there was enough moving parts, and Skarsgård's such a damn good actor. I could
Yeah.
watch him do anything. But that was a lot of fun. Not horror, but definitely entertaining. And then let me see. For last year, I saw Eddington wasn't horror, but that was a lot of fun. The
Oh, Eddington. Yeah, yeah, it was. I didn't like the first half of them. Like, what is this shit? But dude, like the
right.
second half of that movie is like, oh, what is going on here? Like, it really picked up the pace.
Yeah, I think I stood up at one point and yelled "Holy shit!" Like watching it. I didn't expect it to go where it went.
No.
That was a lot of fun. And let me see what else. Gosh, see, I'm out of the loop. I went through. Oh, I saw Zissou, The Road to Revenge, the that
Oh,
movie where the quiet old man just beats the shit out of Nazis.
oh yeah,
That
dude. I
was a lot of
love
fun.
love the first one. Have not seen the second one yet. I almost
Two
forgot about that, dude. I need to see it.
Two is fun. It's fun, but it gets ridiculous. Like there's a part where he's like in a tank and it flips over like a fence and like does this full like 180 flip. I'm like, this kind of getting cartoonish. I still liked it though. It was fun.
Okay,
Um,
I'm gonna put it on. That's on my list. Hopefully, they come to a streamer soon or something, or if I can remember it. It's like, wait,
yep.
oh yeah, there's a sequel.
Yeah, scrolling back pretty far on um my letterbox. And I'm still an old man. I watched the first Invisible Man from the 1930s. Yeah, I'm an old man. I'm not good
I'm turning
with
41 this year, so I'm
okay.
yeah, yeah.
I guess I watched Deathgasm for the first time. That was fun. It's a
Yeah,
metal based horror. And then I think that's it, man. I when it comes to newer stuff, I'm kind of out of the loop.
but you
I
need
saw.
to throw weapons on your list of things to
Oh,
watch
I
if you
did
haven't
see
seen
that.
it. Okay,
Thank you. And I
yeah.
saw. Okay, we're going back further back to August. It's weapons. The monkey was a lot of fun. I think that was what's his name's kid, Anthony Perkins' kid. What's his name? Osgood Perkins
Osgood,
did
yeah,
that.
I love Osgood Perkins. I didn't really like the monkey because if James Wan had his hand in this movie as well, and it felt too James Wan-y to me, which he's not a bad director, writer,
Mhm.
whatever, but wasn't a fan. It was too comedic, I guess. I want to be a bit darker because usually Osgood's like all about the darkness stuff, like Long Legs and the
Yeah,
Black Coat's daughter. Those two are those fucking
that
10 out
makes
of
a lot of
tens.
sense.
Yeah, and I was expecting that, and I didn't get that, so I think that's what really disappointed me. Not saying it was a bad movie; a lot of people did like it, but it
Right.
wasn't really what I was going for.
Yeah, Weapons was a lot of fun. I did enjoy that. I went to the theater and I didn't know what to expect, but I love gosh, I can't think of his name. The guy who played Thanos, and he was in
Oh,
No Country for Old Men.
damn, it's right there. Shit.
Brolin, James Brolin,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, James
Josh,
Brolin. Yeah, yeah, Josh Brolin. Yeah, yeah. Is it
and
Josh? Yeah,
I think it is, and
yeah.
he's great in anything to me, and it's just funny that I see him as what's his name, Llewellyn Moss from No Country, and then he just I don't know, he's still that character to me. I think Llewellyn Moss in No Country for Old Men was just James Brolin, just being him.
So
He
that's
was
what it seemed like. Yeah,
like I when the Coens directed that, like just be you, only a little bit more cowboy, just a stubborn cowboy.
yeah. No, he was great in that. That was just such a good movie, man. You
God,
know,
yeah.
Gladys was scary as fuck. We did our horror Oscars. We do me and my friend Sonia. We do the
Mm.
horror Oscar episodes every year, and that was like our best villain, or at least my that was my best villain was Gladys.
She was
Like,
great, so
yeah,
eccentric, and I didn't. It was she was so good. I didn't know what to expect. So I loved how they built the witchcraft as a lore in that, and they kind of made their own rules with it. And that's what's fun about writing about witchy stuff, witchcraft, and portals and dimensions, because you can't predict it. It's just going to make its own rules. And they stayed. I think they stayed honest to the rules. Where the kid did like the he summoned something within the toilet water at the end. I'm like, that's really cool. I did not expect that to happen.
no, that was awesome. And there's gonna be a prequel coming out that's gonna be like Gladys's story. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah, yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. He's doing the Resident Evil movie that's coming out this year, which I'm
Really?
looking forward to that too. As I'm a big Resident Evil fan, and I think he's gonna
Okay.
do it, more justice than what the other ones did. That more like action adventure type movies. I think he's going more with the like horror that Resident Evil should be.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to that.
That's really cool. I didn't know that. And but Gladys is there's enough character in there that you could just dig really far into that, into what made her who she is. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
there was some stuff on there that the director wanted to do with Gladys. Like, he didn't know if he was going to make her more like a witchy character or more like a monster and and more in a people suit, which, it's kind of like a good mix between both of them because, some of those scenes where she's taking off her people costume, like her hair and
Right.
all that stuff, it's not quite human, she's barely human, if human at all. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, she was it was a real rich character. In such a way where I'm thinking, what other time have I seen a character like this in a horror movie? Like that bananas, and that was that layer. Like there's a lot of layers of that character. That was a very cool.
She reminded me a bit, with that character. Like it was similar, like similar thing with Nick Cage and Long Legs. Like
Okay,
it
yeah, I
had
can
that
see
same
that.
type of like really dark, weird fucking vibe, and I really love Long Legs. Like
Long
I
Legs
know,
is so much fun because that wasn't Nick Cage. That was that was another person. Like
right?
what did Osgood direct that as well? Was
Yeah,
that Osgood
Oscar
directed?
directed. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I wonder if he was kind of like, Nick, I need you to do these things. And it just worked because Nick can go full Nick Cage, the one that we all know and love, the goofy guy, and the overacting and the hamminess. But that was a different level of Nick Cage. And there was a movie, yeah, I'm sure you've seen it, starring Vincent Price called Witchfinder General that was probably back in the 60s. And the
Yep.
director who did that, British director, who's very young, I think he only did 3 films and he died at an early age. Um, I'm pretty sure Vincent Price did the interview and it wasn't the director, but he said Vincent Price had a hamminess about him. He was just totally just, almost winking at the camera. Vincent Price was so good at what he did. And the director had got a different kind of performance out of Vincent when he did Witchfinder General. It was this mean Vincent Price. It wasn't the sweet, you know, kind of like um, just Vincent being Vincent, like, yes, my dear, like, how he's so goofy how he delivered his lines, and I love it, and that's what makes Vincent who he was. But that character or that actor we were used to didn't show up in Witchfinder General. He was kind of an asshole,
Yeah, it was
and
mean.
I think the Osgood did the same thing with Nick Cage. He was able to get a different kind of Nick Cage for us because we know Nick Cage and you expect it. I'm like, that's a different Nick Cage that I'm not used to. That's not, even Mandy was got like a darker Nick Cage that we didn't expect.
Yeah.
But I think Nick went to another level for Long Legs.
Yeah, he even said that in an interview that he went so dark he doesn't want to do another movie that dark again because
Really?
he went to it because he said it was all fucked up because he got so much into that character and stuff and thinking like that character and like it went to a really dark place. He does not want to go there again.
And it's funny that as we're talking about this, I think today you had you, you released an image from that movie that has the Hail Satan part.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, it's funny. I'm doing the podcast, driving back. My wife and I got up. We had to go to the post office and drop something off. And she's like, all right, Jesus, we don't have time for breakfast. Let's go back to the house and I'll make something really quick before you jump on the podcast. I'm like, cool. And I look at the Instagram. I'm like, oh, look at this. Brandon posts this on the way back to do the podcast. That was great.
Yeah, it's a sign, man. And yeah, there's so much cool imagery from that movie, like
Oh
just
yeah.
throwing like a random picture up. And yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah, she got me a long leg shirt. I don't know where she got it from. I have no clue, but she knows if I rave about something, she'll try to get me merch related to it. And she's so good at it where she'll go through like my 1,000 black band t-shirts and say, "Oh, you don't have a shirt from this band." So she'll go to holymountainprinting.com and
Hmm.
order a shirt, and I'll get like a cool hardcore band shirt or a Zayo shirt or something. I'm like, man, that's I mean, how'd you figure that? She said, "Well, I just go through your closet and then I go to the website where you usually get those shirts and figures it out." But she got me a long leg shirt. But people are weird. Like if you like something new, if people like who might know of the film, sometimes you get somebody say something negative. Like if they're like, "Oh, long legs, I didn't like that movie. That movie sucked."
Yeah, I
And like,
see that all over Facebook and stuff. Oh, Long Leg was horrible. I'm like, that's your
yeah,
opinion, man. It's
yeah,
not
that's their
mine.
opinion, right? And I
Yeah.
had a Hereditary shirt on the other night. We went to see my friends and I went to see a movie, and these like just 20-year-old drunk dudes are walking through the parking lot, and the kid walks up to us, and I don't want to talk to 20-year-old drunk dudes. Like I'd
No,
rather crawl under the car than to even have a conversation. But the kid
I don't
goes,
want to talk to 50-year-old drunk dudes. Yeah, nobody 60-year-old. Fuck that.
but the two kids walk by, and the guy goes, "Oh man, Hereditary, that movie's sick. I like that movie." And he goes, "I like Midsummer too." I'm like, "All right, you know what? Well, you're not as dumb as you look. You got good taste, kid."
Yeah.
But then he proceeded to jump onto a pole like with his hands, and he hung on the pole in the parking lot. And I just turned away. I don't want to look at him. And then he falls flat in his back. Like it could have like split his coconut open. He could have split his head open. I mean, I was dumb when I was 22 as well. But I saw the kid do this. I'm like, well, you know what? At least he likes Midsummer and Hereditary, even though he's
Yeah.
lying in the parking
Good
lot.
taste in movies.
He might be still laying there now. I don't know. But he,
Yeah, jeez. So, what are you? Are you writing a new book as we speak, or how's that
um,
going?
right before I did the EP last year, I was working on a book where and it's funny because the world has changed so much more since last February. I was as of February of last year, I was still writing before I took on the music project, and the music project took up the whole rest the entirety of the rest of the year.
Hmm.
But I was doing this idea of a 1970s story of four girls going to see Led Zeppelin, and they obviously got detoured to like a Pentecostal snake house, like a snake handling house. But I want it to
Hmm.
be like Midsummer, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But the difference would be I don't want to be the woman to be the victim. I want it to be this woman empowering thing because just the current administration, the climate of where things are right
Hmm.
now, or at least last year, just pissed me off so much. I'm like, well, I love seeing these movies where like a movie like You're Next, where a woman just gonna like stick a hot poker through this mean dude's eyeball and fun stuff like that. Where the fun parts of horror, where you see like a bastard gets what he deserves,
Yeah.
and so much has changed since last year from February to now, where I'm like, man, I'm just angry. Like I watched, and this sounds silly to say, I'm a 50-year-old married white dude, but I watched Thelma and Louise the other night, and I'm just looking for fuel, and I got properly mad at the right parts in the movie, and I thought it's fun to see a would-be rapist get shot in the chest, and then the
Yes.
girls just go on this tour of just havoc, and it's such a fun. The script writes itself,
Hmm.
and Thelma and Louise I think came out in '91, and how huge that movie was back then, and what it said back then, still important now. But the weird thing about I think where our society went is the ignorance is just the ignorant things that people say maybe was said behind closed doors. Now people just say it openly online,
Oh yeah.
and I'm in shock. I don't know where the empathy went. I don't know if it's just because people want likes and clicks, or people just like being mean. I can't. Some of the mean things I see online that people say in comments, I'm like, I don't think people can't mean these things. I just like I saw. I love following the Criterion page on Instagram, and I don't know the girl's music, but this woman named Charlie XCX
Hmm.
was she liked like something cool. It could have been French. It might even been Lynch because of something I was really surprised. I was like, wow, this pop star is in the Criterion Closet and she liked something like really, really good. And the comments were just like vile. I mean, I'm like, why would people, I don't know. Like, why even pick up your phone if you're just gonna be that mean? Like what gratification do you get in meanness? So me writing a horror novel to have women fight back, you know, is just cool to me because, I don't know. Well, most readers that pick up my books are women, so I'd love if a woman came up and says, "What's this book about?" I'm like, "Oh, it's about women kicking ass," And my wife's always there with me when I'm selling my book, so it just would work. I have a
Hmm.
funny story to add. I think it was last year. This young woman came to the booth. My wife was sitting next to me. She was on her phone, and I gave the lady the pitch of what one of my books was about, and she was going to buy it. And then her husband comes over, and she said, "Hey, hon, I want to buy this." He goes, "Cool." He pays cash. They asked what it was about, and I said, "Oh, it's my first book is The Evil Within the House." And I said, "It's kind of like Stand By Me meets The X Files." And he's like, "Right on, man, cool." Gives me the pound, and he leaves. And I think I even signed it to them, which is just it's surreal with where the story goes.
Hmm.
And this guy from another booth comes running over to me. He goes, "You know who that was?" And I said, "I know nothing. I don't know anything 2 feet outside of the front of my booth. I know nothing." He's like, "That was the singer of Slipknot, and it was his wife." And she's like, does flame twirling, and he's gonna be playing up here as God, I sound so bad. I don't know the guy's name. Corey? Is it Corey?
For Slipknot,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Corey
So
Taylor, I believe.
Corey
Yeah,
Taylor, that's it.
yeah,
Sorry, Corey, if you ever listen to this. But anyway, but he did acoustic guitar at the show. Closed out Saturday night. There, every single person in the building was there to see him, and his wife had done like some flame twirling kind of show right before him. And I was like, this is insane. Like these two like popular people came to my booth and listened to me give them the pitch. I signed the book to them, and they knew that I didn't know who they were. And just is really funny. Like I'm just talking to them like just like I would talk to you at a con. I just talk to people like I like, like people are human. I'm like I'm a warm human, so I talk to other people. I'm
yeah.
like, that's the dude from Slipknot. Like, I mean, they could have threw that in the garbage for all I know. But or the evil within the house is sitting on his next book to be read list. But I was like, that's bizarre. That it's funny that I didn't know who he was, and it's funny that the other guy was like jumping up and down. He was like, "How did you not know?" I'm like, I guess because he didn't have the orange jumpsuit and clown mask on, man. I don't know.
That is cool, man. Yeah, I cut my teeth to Slipknot when I was a teenager, so I owe them,
Oh, really?
yeah, they, getting into heavier music. Like I think I listened to them up to the album After Iowa, and I really
Okay.
dug him and stuff, and that really opened me up to heavier stuff. So yeah, more power to them, I guess. Yeah, I'm not hating on them or anything. A lot of
Yeah.
people hate on Slipknot. Like, oh, they're big. Like I don't listen to them anymore. I've listened to them like 20 something years, but they did help me get into some heavy music, and their first two albums were really good.
Were they into? They had a lot of tribal stuff in their beginning. In the
They did
beginning,
a
didn't
lot of
they?
tribal drumming type stuff and just all out aggression. And that's how I felt as a teenager, just fucking aggressive as shit. And like,
Yeah.
it spoke to me.
Because there was like, I blame Sepultura Roots era for that because they just Sepultura Roots was like got into the tribal and it was so catchy and it was
Yeah,
like
dude, I love Roots.
they weren't death metal as schizophrenia, and I love Arise. Arise was a huge record for me because that got me into death metal vocals, and I think right after it was Chaos AD. But
Hmm.
Roots is like, man, I guess that's where like start of quote unquote groove metal came from. But then I
Yeah.
think but Neurosis just were kings of doing the tribal. They just did so well at doing the tribal stuff. And there
Hmm.
were other bands like I think like Living Sacrifice. They were like that Christian death metal band. They got into the tribal stuff. It's fun. I mean, it's fun music. If it just that constant, just rhythmic caveman, just dun, 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 and just it's so loud.
Yeah.
And but I don't think there's anything like that around. If there is, I don't know about it. Like that tribally, genty death vocal stuff. And I don't know if that's a phase that passed, and we're doing another circle around with the. It seems like the mathy and overly tech stuff is coming back, which is good. I'm fine with that too.
Yeah.
But
I get it, man. I said, I can't think of their name off the top of my head, but once I think of them again, I'll send you a link to them. That they do have some tribal stuff in there, and it's heavy as fuck. So
That would be something I would never be able to pull off in my garage. I think I would get shot on that one. Like the bird vocals, doing the pterodactyl vocals in the walk-in closet was probably the most loud part of the recording last year. But if I was going to be like, oh, I want to do this huge stoner tribal, thing, I think that would probably get the HOA people mad at me. It was funny. There was one moment where I was doing vocals last year, and it was before I decided to hide in the walk-in closet. I had to do a punch in, and I'm like, I want to do vocals right here. I don't like the way I enunciate this one verse. So I was like, I'm gonna come home from work. I'm just gonna plug in my microphone really quick and just scream for a couple seconds, and then I'm gonna go back out in the garage. And my wife was using the leaf blower, and the garage door was open, and I think she had the fan on out in the garage. And I was like, she's probably gonna be doing the elliptical. She's not gonna know. So I turn on the microphone and I go, bah, 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 and I'm screaming just really quick. I mean, it might have been 15 seconds.
mm.
And my headset was on. I couldn't hear. And I see a shape in my peripheral, and I turn around, and it's her. And she thought something had happened because, well, it's a man screaming at the top of his lungs. And she came running into the house, and she's like, "Are you okay? Oh my God, I heard you all the way out in front of the house." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I just wanted to belt out this one verse here." And she goes, "You didn't tell me." I'm like, "Well, it's a hard conversation to have." I'm like, "Hey, while you're out there using the leaf blower, I'm going to scream at the top of my lungs just to get this one black metal style vocal out." And she's like, "I really thought like something fell on you or something." So, I guess that's the perils of being married to somebody who does extreme metal. I guess that happens once in a while.
Yeah, see, my wife is used to all that stuff. She used to manage a really, really heavy extreme metal, death metal band, brutal death metal band for many, many years. That's how we
Okay.
met. We met through the metal scene, actually. So she
What
was
was the
used to
band?
all this stuff. The band she managed was called Coffin Syrup, and you can find them
Okay.
on Bandcamp and stuff.
Okay. Awesome. You
Technically,
give me
they're
some good
still around too.
recommendations at this show. You give me good recommendations for music and movies. So
That's good.
as a guest, I really appreciate getting all these recommendations for awesome stuff too.
Oh yeah, no, I love sharing awesome stuff and getting more people to listen to other cool things. There's so much stuff out there, it's cool to have people out there that curates it a bit and gives you recommendations. Because if you don't really know, you don't know. It's so
Yeah,
much stuff.
and sometimes I'll say a couple times a year, where has this been all my life? I'm like, how did I not know about this? And I've had so many moments like that where I'm like, it's good to have a podcast like this so you could tell people. Like I remember I was a Shaun of the Dead fan. And then one time somebody said, "Have you ever seen Tucker and Dale?" I was like, "No, I don't even know about it." And they said, "If you're such a Shaun of the Dead fan, you will love Tucker and Dale." So I watched it, and I was mad that I didn't know about it sooner because Tucker and Dale is so funny and so awesome. But if you like Shaun of the Dead, you'll like Tucker and Dale. And I'm like, man, this is great. But there's always something out there where I'm like, they don't make those anymore. And I'm usually wrong. They do make those things. They're just not on my radar for some reason. And I find I'm like, damn it, I wish I would have known about this sooner. I'd just be a bigger, or the worst is if it's an awesome band and I'm like really into them. And I found they had come through Tampa and left. And I'm like, I didn't know about them then. I'm going to kick in myself right now. And it's a good band that I just got into later. And they had swooped through the Tampa area. And I was just I was somewhere else at the time.
Yeah, it happens with me too. Like, luckily, my inner circle of friends and stuff, we keep each other up to date on all the cool stuff, which is good because, like I said, there's a lot of stuff you got to get through to get to the cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been noticing that too. A lot of like some of the authors I've been reading now, like I go off the path and read something new. Like I see some Amazon reviews and
Mm,
turns out it's not that great. And
right.
I'm already like I'm 90% through it. I'm like, man, is this done yet? It's like watching a boring movie. I'm like, I wish somebody would give me a heads up on this. I kind of went, solo on this to say, oh, cool, this is something new. Let's read this. But
Yeah.
like, oh man, yeah.
Yeah, that does happen to me a lot, especially with reading. If I didn't run, I think my brain would be better for reading. But there's countless times last year where I get like a couple cool books where I go to Barnes and Noble, I always try to read the first page, and if it just grabs me, if the writing is that good, I'm like, all right, you got me. I'm gonna buy this, and I'm like, I'm gonna go home and read this, and then 3, 4 times that week after my runs, I'm out. Like I'll just be holding the book and my head's tilted
Oh,
sideways. I'm like, I'm a friggin' old man.
dude, I know that feeling. I get done working out eat dinner, get done with work, come home, work out, eat dinner, all that stuff. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do some reading before I go to bed, and that's what I do. I'm usually out in like 15 minutes. I
Oh
get
yeah,
maybe a chapter read. I'm like, God damn it.
right. And then you can't remember the next day where you're foggy. I'm like, oh, I gotta go back and read part of that again. I can't remember.
Yeah, because the eyes are moving, but nothing's being, you're not
Yeah.
really reading. It's like, God damn it.
But
But
well, dude, thank you so much for having me. It's been fun to talk about the music and with somebody who understands the music. And you told me about a lot of cool stuff. So this is great. This has been great. This is a great podcast. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you being on here. I appreciate our friendship. And
Yes,
also, before we go, man, like, tell people where to find your books and stuff. And if you have anything else you want to throw out there
sure.
before we go.
You could find my horror books. You go to www.thomasmichaelthomas.com, or you could just go to the Google and you could type in Thomas Michael Thomas and you could type up The Evil Within the House and it should auto populate for any Kindle related and or physical books you want to order. They are print on demand. I do go to horror conventions. You could see them on the website, thomasmichaelthomas.com. For the music, you can go type up Salt Divination, which is the name of the metal project with Ben Koller from Converge doing session drums on that. And that is on the Spotify and Bandcamp. I am going to put that on cassette because I know metal people love tangible objects still.
Yes.
Thankful to the metal community. I want to do a cassette of that. And I want to shoot a video for that. So you could, and the EP is called The Boiled Sorceress. So if you type up Salt Divination, The Boiled Sorceress in Google, it'll send you to all the links for that. And if you want to follow me on the Instagram, it is at Delamorte Delagore, kind of like the Italian horror movie from 1994,
Yeah,
Delamorte
Cemetery
Delamore. Yeah,
Yeah.
Cemetery Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Brandon, I really appreciate it.
Hell yeah, Michael. And I hope you have a good rest of your day, and we'll talk again soon.
Sweet. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Later, man.
All right, take care.
How would you describe yourself?
There's nothing. There's no self.
How would you like to be remembered?
Doesn't matter.